After 18 days of amazing football, we finally have come to the end of the 2026 World Cup group stages. Some will say the World Cup just starts from now. My name is Tunde Young. Welcome to this episode of Sports Desk. And there's a whole lot to talk about, so there's not even enough time to dilly or dally around today. We saw match day 18 of the World Cup end with some incredible fixtures. 6 more games to end the group stage. In Group L, we saw England defeat Panama by 2-0 goals from Jude Bellingham and Harry Kane to take them through as top of that group. Croatia also defeated Ghana by 2-1. Very exciting game to finish second in that group. Colombia and Portugal in Group K played at the goalless draw, but believe me, if you think because there was no goals, it was boring, you should have stayed up for that one. It was one of the games of the tournament. Colombia are a dangerous team and not to be trifled with. DR Congo came into the game against Uzbekistan knowing that anything other than a win would see them crash out of the World Cup, and they delivered even though they took their precious time. Johan Wissa with 2 goals in that one. Algeria-Austria was probably actually the game of the night. 3-3, lots of storylines. Both of these teams needed a draw to advance. Either team losing would probably have seen them get knocked out, especially with Iran waiting in the wings. There were 2 late potential winning goals. Riyad Mahrez scored a late winner, 3-2 for Algeria. That would have seen them guaranteed finish second, but it would have meant they would have to face Spain. So Algeria were not happy with that goal. And just with the last kick of the game, Austria equalized to get their way back into the tournament and knock out Iran again for the second time in 2 days. And then Austria will face Spain. We'll get into all of that. Lionel Messi did not start against Jordan, but he came off the bench and continued his World Cup streak. Another goal for the GOAT. 6 goals in 3 games. That's what transpired in the night. Let's just get right into my rundown here. Yeah, let's go through some of the World Cup stats that we've seen so far. So, we started with 48 teams. We're down to 32. So 16 teams have gone home. Of the 16 that went home, 7 were from the Asian continent. Asia had the lowest conversion rate in terms of teams advancing from the group stage to the round of 32, with just 2 out of their 9 teams advancing. That's Japan and Australia. South Korea were clinging on for their life, but they were always facing a tough task, especially with the other teams. In fact, like I rightly predicted, Senegal were the only 3rd place team that qualified with 3 points. And that was because they blew up their own goal difference by pummeling Iraq the other night. Europe had 13 out of 16 teams advanced, 81%, pretty healthy. South America, the second best, 5 out of 6 teams, quite healthy as well, for the CONMEBOL region. But Africa had the best. Oh, North America, let me start with North America first. 3 out of 6, 50% of their teams advanced, but Africa had the best ratio, 9 out of 10, 90%. Tunisia were the odd ones out. Tunisia, the only African team to be out of the tournament at the moment. It's a fantastic turnout for Africa. Not even the most optimistic African football fan would have predicted that 9 out of 10 African teams would advance from the group stages. Yeah, it did help that they were 3rd place teams advanced this time around. But even that, only 4 African teams even advanced as a 3rd place team. DR Congo were the best of the 3rd place teams. They had 4 points. They had a +1 goal difference. Ghana finished 3rd on the 3rd place table with 4 points and a 0 goal difference. And then you have Algeria, who finished 6th on the 3rd place table, also with 4 points, and Senegal, as mentioned earlier. So 5 African teams would have qualified regardless, even if it was just the top 2 going through as it was in the old format. So this has been a phenomenal run for the African continent. What does this mean for future World Cups? Does that mean that Africa should get more slots? Lots of people are saying, Asia performed so badly, take away their slots and give it to Africa, or Europe performed below par, take away their slots and give it to Africa. I don't know if you should take away anybody's slots. It's a juvenile and radical approach to World Cup planning. I don't know if we should be taking away slots. But I think what the African continent has proven is that the historical disenfranchisement is the main reason, not quality. It's the main reason that Africa has been underperforming at the World Cup. When we've only had 5 slots, we've never had more than 2 teams advance on the group stages. And now that we are up to 10, you can see 9 advancing. So I would say give opportunities for more teams, and more teams will show you that they have quality. Even non-African teams that you'd expect would come into this tournament and make a fool of themselves. Everybody sort of held their own, Tunisia aside, basically. Everybody gave a good account of themselves. Even Panama, who were the only team to not score at this World Cup, they lost every game. But they did not lose by any ridiculous margin. Panama matched England toe-to-toe yesterday. I watched that game. They matched them for athleticism, matched them for pace, matched them for power. They only considered 2 goals against England. They considered 1 against Ghana, considered 1 against Croatia. -4 goal difference. And statistically, one of the lower ranks, one of the worst teams in the tournament. So this kind of shows that, especially when the World Cup is concerned, teams will generally step up to the table. National pride cannot really be underestimated. You say maybe teams like Uzbekistan were probably the whipping boys, lost all 3 games, only scored 2 goals, considered 11. I already mentioned Tunisia. Even Jordan, who did not pick up a single point, scored in every game. They scored 3 goals. They considered 8 goals, -5. They finished bottom of their group. Some team like Iraq, for example, fits into that category, considered 12 goals. So, yes, some teams are going to be weak teams. There's nothing we can really do about that. But it's proving that if you give enough chances to as many teams, they will show why they deserve to be there. National pride should not be underrated. You can't judge national team football the same way we judge club football, the same lenses. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. So let's go to our review of the group stages. Everything went pretty much as planned. I spoke about it yesterday, about how this has been a World Cup for the favorites. And now that we have our brackets fully sorted for the round of 32, we'll see Germany take on Paraguay in Foxborough on June 29. A day later is France versus Sweden in East Rutherford. Tonight, the first of the round of 32 games is South Africa versus host Canada in Inglewood. So Canada are playing away in the tournament that they're co-hosting. I don't know if that will play to the advantage of the South Africans. We'll find out by 8 p.m. Nigerian time. That's the only game of the day. I'm looking forward to it. On Monday is Netherlands Morocco. Well, technically it could be Tuesday morning. Netherlands Morocco, probably the most balanced clash of the next round. We'll find out who takes advantage of each other in that one. Portugal will face Croatia. That's Croatia's reward for finishing second in their group is that they face another second in another group in the country of Portugal. Spain, the dreaded opponents that Algeria and Austria are trying to avoid. Well, Austria will take on Spain. But Spain have not really lit the world up in this World Cup, so maybe Austria have a chance. United States will take on Bosnia and Herzegovina in Seattle. Santa Clara, I beg your pardon. Belgium, Senegal. When I get into my predictions for the next round, I'll talk at length about Belgium and Senegal. I really have some thoughts to share on that one. Brazil, Japan, on that pretty balanced fixture. Ivory Coast, Norway, one of the tastier ones to look forward to. Mexico, Ecuador, lots of balanced games. England, Congo looks like it will be one-sided, but England have proven that they are terrible against low-block teams. So that's what we learned from the group stages. So we'll find out how they do in that one. Argentina, Cape Verde, everybody is hoping that that's the upset of the round. Australia, Egypt, very balanced. Switzerland, Algeria, also quite balanced. Colombia, Ghana, there's one favorite right there. We'll get to it shortly. But let's look at the group stages critically. Who are the players who excelled? Here is my sports desk team of the group stages. In goal, this was the group stage of goalkeepers. Goalkeepers shown left, right, and center. But Vozinha, even though it was just one game, that one game against Spain was good enough for him to be, in my opinion, be the goalkeeper of the entire group stages. And when you bear in mind that he went on to keep another clean sheet against Saudi Arabia, even though he didn't have lots of saves to make in that one, but he kept a clean sheet. So 2 clean sheets out of 3 games. 1 man of the match performance in 3 games for the goalkeeper of Cape Verde. I would say that was mighty impressive. I'm going with a 4-3-3 formation or a 4-2-3-1 formation. Aymeric Laporte. Spain were one of the few teams to not concede a single goal in the group stages. Let me quickly do my run through and be sure. I know Spain did not concede. I know Mexico did not concede. Who else didn't concede? Who else kept clean sheets all through? I think that's it. I think that's about it. So the third team was Argentina, but Argentina conceded against Jordan. So Spain and Mexico, the only teams to not concede, and Aymeric Laporte was at the center of that Spanish defense. A lot of people were crediting Pau Kubasi, but in my opinion, Aymeric Laporte was the rock of that defense. So I'm putting Aymeric Laporte in the centre-back position for helping Spain to keep a clean sheet in their group. Granted, it wasn't a great group. Uruguay never looked like scoring. Cape Verde never looked like scoring. Saudi Arabia definitely never looked like scoring. But still, somebody still had to defend, and Aymeric Laporte did. My other centre-back, maybe a slightly less conventional choice, especially since he didn't just play centre back in this tournament. He played in right back in one of the games. But Wilfred Singo had to make this team one way or another. I know what I watched in the group stages. He's one of the reasons Ivory Coast were able to pick up 6 points out of 9. They could have picked up 9 out of 9. He played right back against Germany. The other 2 games he played as a centre back, and he did his job well. Wilfred Singo, the Galatasaray defender, I really, 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 really rated his performance. Speaking of defenders whose performance I rate, Daniel Munoz of Colombia. First 2 starts, 2 goals from right back. He scored the only goal against DR Congo to win the game for Colombia. And that was pretty much the game that won them the group. He scored a fantastic goal against Uzbekistan as well. He didn't start against Portugal. He only came off the bench in the final 3 minutes for Santiago Arias. But that's, by then my mind was already made up. Even though, shout out to someone like Reazien of Iran. It was a close call, but Iran got knocked out. Colombia still in the tournament, and Daniel Munoz, in my opinion, was just the better performer in the group stages. I left back another unconventional choice. I've not heard anybody mention him yet, but I watched every game. I watched every Morocco game. I watch almost every World Cup game live. I've watched every World Cup game. Some not live, but I would say I covered 80% of the World Cup games live. Nosser Mazraoui was incredible. He was incredible at this one. In the group stages, that Morocco left side shut down. There's no attack that goes through there. Maybe because he doesn't advance the ball as well as Hakimi. Maybe because he's not an offensive fullback. It's easy to forget what he brings to a team. But this guy had a fantastic World Cup for me, and I choose to recognize him because this is my own list. If you do your own, you can add your own players there. In midfield, I have Felix Mecha of Germany. Again, I'm going with players that stood out to me. Mecha was fantastic. This is not because he scored 1 goal against Curaçao. It's just every single game, the consistency was there. He played well against Curaçao. I thought, okay, maybe this is just Curaçao. He did it again against Ivory Coast. Was, in my opinion, the man of the match, even though Dennis Wundav got the award. In my opinion, it was the man of the match against Ivory Coast. So I have Felix Mecha here. And of course, Jude Bellingham, the savior of England. 2 goals, I believe. Yeah, 2 goals in the first 3 games at the World Cup for Jude Bellingham. He was incredible in an English midfield that so far has still not understood what they are trying to do. We've been seeing this mixture of Rice, Anderson, Bellingham, which to a lot of people, they are too similar to work. I don't understand what Tuchel is trying to do there exactly. Bellingham as a 10. Lots of people say it's working, it's not working. But what did I know about Jude Bellingham? 10, 8, 4, 6, it doesn't matter. It's football, he will play it. He's very, very, very good, and he's showing it again at this tournament. I recognize that. I rate that a lot, as the kids say. Lionel Messi is the number 10, obvious reasons. I don't need to explain why Lionel Messi makes any list football related. God sent 6 goals in 3 games. Top scorer in World Cup history, top scorer at the current World Cup, the player that has scored pretty much 80% or 85% of Argentina's entire World Cup goals in this tournament, is without a doubt the player of the tournament as it stands. Vinicius Jr. is my left winger. It took a while for me to see the light, but again, I watched every Brazil game. He did his thing. He's carrying this Brazil team. This Brazil team minus Vinicius is not better than Senegal. It's not better than a lot of teams. Vinicius is their X factor, and he makes the list because of that. 3 goals in the group stages also have 2 against Scotland, 1 against Morocco, and he only scores bangers. So I really, really rate the guy. I have Kylian Mbappe down the middle. I don't need to explain that. 4 goals in the group stages. But even beyond these 4 goals, for all the stick that he gets about being selfish and whatnot, if you have 4 goals and you have 2 assists in your first 3 games at the World Cup, I would say you are doing something very, very right. So if I was sticking with the goals, I'll probably have gone with Ousmane Dembele. But on my right wing is going to be Michael Olise, who hasn't scored at this tournament. But again, I know what I saw. Apart from the game against Norway, where he was kind of cold, but he has earned the right to be. He played 2 phenomenal games against Senegal and Norway, and I think that's enough for him to make my team of the tournament. 3 assists so far. No player has more assists than him at this World Cup. So that is my team of the group stages after 3 games. Those are the players that stood out to me in 11. Of course, there are some that missed out. There are some honorable mentions. Isak, for example, he had 3 assists in the group stages, 2 goals. It was fantastic. Even in the same team, Anthony Elanga was fantastic. There have been lots of in defense. I debated between putting Singo and Jampo Vaneke, but Netherlands considered in every game. And for me, that's a letdown in terms of adding him to this. But let me know what your honorable mentions are. What are the players that caught your eye in the group stages? I didn't want to be petty and do a worst 11 of the group stages list. I did not want to do that. But if you want to do that, use the comment section for that. Let's talk about the 32 teams in the round of 32. Our power rankings based on what we've seen in this tournament so far, and in relation to my expectation for the team based on who they are playing against. So those are the parameters for me ranking these teams in this order. Please hear the parameters again before we have problems. What we've seen, based on what we've seen in this tournament so far, based on what we've seen in the group stages, and in addition to that, what I expect the team to do in the next round. These are my power rankings. 32, the worst team left in the tournament, according to me, is Paraguay. Paraguay, in my opinion, only qualified because they were in a terrible group. They started to win a game against Turkey, and they did, and they drew the last game against Australia. Only scored 2 goals. It's such a meh team. I think they are definitely out in the next round because they play against Germany. They have absolutely no chance. At 31, I have South Africa. My thoughts on South Africa have been very clear. I do not think they are good. I still do not think they are good. They advanced to the next round, and we are happy. Africa unites, good. But I'm not going to be coerced into supporting a team that I don't think is good at football. I do not think the South Africans are good. I think South Korea was a great matchup for them. They were able to use their physicality and impose it on the South Koreans. They bullied them essentially, and eventually the game just tilted in their favor with one moment of brilliance. I don't think that will be enough going into the rest of the tournament. Not to say that Canada is unbeatable for them. It's a pretty balanced fixture, actually. But we'll talk about that shortly. Bosnia, number 30. Again, another fruit of a terrible group. Group B is one of the worst World Cup groups I've had in recent memory. Switzerland, Bosnia, Qatar. Who else was in that group? Canada. Worst group ever. Bereft of quality. Not great at football. The games were not great to watch, but at least they gave goals, but it was not. At least they gave goals, but it was not in a fun, exciting, quality kind of way. I have Bosnia in 30. I have Ghana in 29. Ghana picked up a good result against England, shut down the English attack, and also they beat Panama by a goal to nil. Soccer Punch stole that game, in fact, because Panama had them on the road for most of it. But I see through it. Just because you have 4 points doesn't mean that this Ghanaian team, they play like they've never seen a ball before. It's actually wild. I watched against Croatia. Their forward players they lack technical ability. They have names that you'd expect that will be able to hurt the team. For example, Kamaldeen Sulemana on the left is one of the fastest wingers in the world. Fatawu is one of the most skillful wingers in the world. Those two on the left and right is already something. Then you have maybe Yaki Williams down the middle or Semenyo down the middle, whoever you choose to put down the middle. That seems like it would be a great attack, right? No, it is not. And for whatever reason, Carlos Queiroz is not even doing that. He's stuck to Ayu. He's stuck to putting Semenyo out wide and whatnot. So it's not really looked like it's working for me. It's not really look like it's working. In 28, I have Australia, another team that is just simply unremarkable. They caught Turkey off guard because Turkey had a poor start to the tournament. But I think Australia have come to their end of the road as well. Egypt in 27, maybe a little bit harsh in retrospect, but I have Egypt in 27. They had a chance to top their group. They fumbled it. But again, remember, this is also in relation to whether or not I think they will advance. And even with that, I still think Egypt in 27 is a bit harsh. But maybe when I compare the list, I just read the Bible, so I didn't like the Egyptians. 26, Algeria. I have Ecuador 25. Ecuador confused me because they are a good team. They are clearly a good. They have good players. They have good recognizable players. They know how to create chances. They are terrible at finishing. They defend quite well. They know how to create chances. But just converting these chances, they are terrible at. They converted them against Germany, and that's why they are in the next round in the first place. But other than that, I don't know if they can sustain that going forward. I don't know if we'll revert to the Ecuador we saw in the first two games against Curacao and Ivory Coast, or the Ecuador we saw against Germany. Either way, they are 25. 24, I have Canada. Oh, Canada, out of respect to the host. 23 is Austria. 22 is Switzerland. 21 is Dr. Congo, DR Congo. Will probably be higher if I did not think that their World Cup journey was about to end against England. 20 is Sweden for the same reason. 19, I have Croatia, a team that's just okay, just there. They are somewhere in the mid ranges. Cape Verde, everybody's fairy tale team of the tournament. Will their fairy tale journey end? We'll find out shortly. They are 18th on my list. 17, I have Senegal, a team that lots of people believe underperformed. But I think that the reports of their demise have been vastly exaggerated, and we'll talk about it shortly. 16 is Belgium, 15 Japan. I have Ivory Coast up as high as 14. I have Mexico, one of the three perfect teams. Mexico did not drop a single point in the group stages, along with Argentina and France. They didn't even consider a goal, along with only Spain. So some might say they should even be higher, but I attribute all of that to having an easy group. So I have Mexico in 13. I have Norway in 12. Portugal, probably the biggest disappointment of the group stages. The biggest disappointment that advanced, the biggest disappointment of the group stage is Uruguay, hands down. But the biggest disappointment amongst the teams that still remain, Portugal came into the tournament with expectations as one of the main favorites, one of the Dondas, one of the teams that could win this. I don't think anybody thinks that now. I don't think anybody thinks that after what we've seen in the first three games. The only time they looked like a good team was against a terrible Uzbekistan team. So I have them 11th. I have England 10 for the same reason. I had my hopes high for England. But after what I've seen in the group stages, doesn't mean that they can't win because tournament football is funny. You can just play bad games and just find your way to the next game and do that 7 more times. And before you know it, you're world champions. So it doesn't mean they can't win it. I'm just saying it lowers our expectations for them. Number 9, USA. I have USA number 9. The hosts, even when they rotated their squad every day against Turkey, they still should have won that game. So they look good. But again, how many times have we seen the team look very, very good in the group stages and then get sucker punched in the next round? We shall find out. Number 8 is Colombia, probably the team that has risen the most in my estimation among the teams that are still left. Colombia look like they are a semi-final team at the very least. This is a good team. They should have pummeled Portugal. They ran them ragged. They were too physical. They were too fast. They were too dynamic. They moved the ball quite well. James Rodriguez is still good at 35 years old. That is scary. I have Spain at number 7. Another of the underperformers, I have Spain at number 7. I have the Netherlands. Before this tournament started, full disclosure, I did not rate the Netherlands at all. I did not at all rate the Netherlands. I will not even say they've proven me wrong because they've did what they're supposed to do in the group stages when you have a group that is not the strongest. But Morocco will test them. Speaking of Morocco, I have Morocco in number 5 for obvious reasons. Africa's great big hope. If they can get past Netherlands, they have in my opinion, clear path to the semi-finals. We shall see. Brazil at number 4. But my mind has not really changed on Brazil. I think they're a good team. I just don't think they're a good enough team to win this tournament. Same thing goes for Germany. Good team, not good enough to win the tournament. Argentina, in my opinion, are not even a great team. They're just an okay team, but with the greatest player of all time on their side. And it has really, really shown with the over-reliance on Lionel Messi. 6 out of their 8 goals coming from the left-footed magician. I do not know if that will be enough when you face the best of the best, but it will be enough against most teams in this tournament. So Argentina are most likely going to make another deep run because they will, they would always have Messi to rely on. And number 1 is France. I had them number 1 before the tournament started. I have not changed my mind. So that is the power rankings. Let me wrap it up by giving you my predictions for the knockout stages. I have Germany running through Paraguay. That's no contest. Germany will beat Paraguay. You quote me on that one. The same thing with France and Sweden. France, Sweden is done. That's easy. South Africa, Canada is as close as it gets. Not because the quality is there, but because both of them are not good. Canada edged them slightly in terms of quality, but not enough for me to say outright that Canada will knock them out. Because South Africa can also lock up shop and take it to extra time and take it to penalties, and then something happens in their favor. So it's too close to call. I'm still going to lean towards Canada, but it's a bit too close to call in that one. The same thing for Netherlands, Morocco. Morocco are probably a better team than the Netherlands, but the quality gap is not wide enough for me to definitively say they will beat Netherlands in 90 minutes. So it might go to extra time, it might go to penalties. Too close to call, but I'm leaning towards Morocco in that one. Portugal will beat Croatia. I think if you don't beat Croatia, we don't want to see at the World Cup again. Portugal will beat Croatia. The same thing for Spain and Austria. Spain, I'm not really clicking together at this tournament, but when in the knockout stages, this is where the World Cup really starts, as I said earlier. In the knockout stages, they will turn up against Austria and do their business. United States against Bosnia and Herzegovina. A lot of Americans seem to think this is wrapped in a wrapping gift, a bow tie, and put on their doorstep by Amazon delivery. This is not the World Cup group stages and the World Cup knockout rounds are two completely different things. Two completely different things. I assure you, it is not the same thing at all. Yes, the USA should beat Bosnia. They most likely will. But just bear in mind that this Bosnia team, as bad as it looked at this World Cup, stopped Italy from qualifying for the World Cup. So they are not going to be as easy as you think, but you should probably still win. Are we on the same page? Belgium, Senegal. This is the one. This is the one. I'm telling you, take your house rent, take your children's school fees, take hospital bills money, add everything together and put it on Senegal to qualify. I am telling you that I not only do I feel it deep in my gut that Senegal are unbeatable for Belgium. I know it for a fact. I've watched both of these teams. Senegal lost to a superior France team. Senegal made some tactical errors that made them lose to Norway. They are probably balanced on quality with Norway. Belgium are not better than France. Belgium are not better than Norway. Belgium are not better than Senegal. Except you are thinking of a Belgium of 8 years ago. Today's Belgium are not beating Senegal. They will get outrun in midfield. They will get overpowered up front. They can't break down Senegal defensively. Remember, Belgium have only won one game out of their first three. They only beat New Zealand by 5-1. They could not break down Egypt. They could not break down Iran. They will not break down Senegal. I assure you of that. Brazil, Japan. Japan will put up a good fight, but I think Brazil will urge them. Take everything I just said now for Senegal, Belgium, and apply it to Ivory Coast, Norway. Norway, I don't care if you have Erling Haaland, if you have Delimaro, now whoever you want to have, you are not beating the Ivory Coast in this round of 32 game. I am sure of it. I am sure of it. Mexico, Ecuador, very close. Very close. I'm just going to edge towards Mexico because they are at home. But I would not be surprised if Ecuador knocked them out. It's another of those ones that could go to extra time and penalties. England, DR Congo. I mentioned earlier that I was not confident in the way England handle low blocks, especially against strong black teams that they can't beat based on athleticism. They tried it against Panama. All of their approach against Panama was in hopes of outrunning Panama, outmuscling Panama, just everything based on athleticism. You are not going to out-athletic an African team or a team like Panama because they are predominantly black. I'm not even trying to make any racial jokes here or comments or whatever. It is just a fact. They have those gifts. Where you can beat them is in your technical superiority. And England did not show that against Ghana. England did not show that against Panama. And both of those teams play very similarly to the way DR Congo will play. Only difference is DR Congo is better than both of those teams because they have offensive quality. They are probably stronger in midfield. They are probably stronger in defense as well. So it is going to be difficult. England should be ready for 120 minutes of football here. They asked Portugal what their eyes saw. This is one of the potential upsets. I'm not going to say definitively that Congo will knock England out, but I'm saying that I don't know. This is one of my potential upsets. Speaking of potential upsets, because everybody wants it to happen, I don't know if it will happen, but everybody seems to believe that Cape Verde can lock up shop the same way they did against Spain and take it to penalties and probably win on penalties because they have Vozinha and goal. If that happens, against Argentina, it will be one hell of a story. Imagine Cape Verde, a country of 500,000 people, coming into their first World Cup, making history, advancing from the group stages as the second best team, and then facing the defending champions of the world with the greatest of all time on their side. And they somehow knock them out again. There is no bigger story in football. I want it to happen solely for that. Now, when it happen, I'll say don't hold your breath. Because even in the game that they locked up shop against Spain and defended well, they still gave away 2 big chances, and Spain just could not finish it. If you give those 2 big chances to Argentina, they most likely will score at least one of them. But Cape Verde do not have the quality to pop one back against Argentina. So that's where the problem is. That's where we might have an issue. But I'm holding my breath for this one. I want to see it happen. I think I deserve it, and I will have it. Australia, Egypt, very, very, very balanced. Egypt, you have as good a chance as any to make the round of 16 for the first time in your World Cup history. I think that they can do it. They've shown enough quality. They almost stopped the group against Belgium. I think that they can. This Australia team is so bland. I don't think that they can give Egypt too much problems. Switzerland is better than Algeria in theory. But from what we've seen at this World Cup, Switzerland failed to beat Qatar. I don't think that they can beat Algeria. I do not think so. I don't think so. I saw Algeria against Argentina. They didn't play well, but they only lost that game because Messi went Super Saiyan. Only lost that game because their goalkeeper was not the greatest. They scraped past Jordan, and you saw, of course, what they did against Austria. I don't know. I'm holding my breath for Switzerland. For Algeria. I think Algeria can knock out Switzerland. Colombia, Ghana, there's no chance. Ghana, you have tried. Pack your bags, come home. Colombia are going to pummel Ghana. So based on that, Africa having 9 teams out of 10 advanced from group stages to the round of 32 is impressive. But how many of those 9 teams can actually advance from round of 32 to round of 16? That's where the math gets tricky. In my mind, though, I can't count more than 2 or 3 that I'm sure of. I'm sure of Senegal. I've made that very, very clear. I'm sure of Senegal. I have made it clear. I am also sure of the Ivory Coast. I have made it clear. I have a couple maybes. I have South Africa as a maybe. I have Algeria and Egypt as a maybe. I have DR Congo as a maybe. We'll see. We'll see if I'm right. I have Morocco as a maybe as well. But hey, that's the breakdown of the round of 32 and the group stages. That's been. I need to catch my breath. What a World Cup this has been. Thank you very much for joining us in the last 18 days. The World Cup is still over. We have spent over half of the World Cup, but we still have a lot of football to come our way. Round of 32, round of 16, quarterfinal, semi-final, and all the way down to the big one. We'll see who ends up winning it. But for now, I'll be back tomorrow with the results of South Africa, Canada. One of those 2 teams will have already advanced to the round of 16 by the time I see you tomorrow. So thank you very much. Peace, love, prosperity. My name is Tunde. Peace.